Good to see all of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's really exciting for all of you to be here, and even more exciting for all of you to be part of Fugitive Safe Surrender. It doesn't happen without all of you. And our role, quite frankly, is just to be kind of the catalyst that brings everything together. It's a program that I got the idea for us to do it from U.S. Marshal Pete Elliott. In fact, Pete and I were talking about it yesterday. And the U.S. Marshal Service started it. Pete actually started it. And Pete, those of you who don't know him, is the Marshal, U.S. Marshal for the Northern District of Ohio. I call him the Matt Dillon of Ohio, those of you old enough to remember Gunsmoke. But at any rate, he has started this program. And he started it in 2005 after Cleveland patrolman Wayne Leon was killed on a routine traffic stop. The program is designed to give people who have outstanding warrants for misdemeanors and low-level felonies the chance to resolve these issues in a church or other community-based, non-threatening setting. And some people ask us why we do it in a church. We do it in a church because it works in a church. National studies have shown that if you do it in a church as opposed to a courthouse or some other building, the number of people who show up doubles for all the reasons that we can imagine about the security that people feel in a church. They just feel better about things. It's not as threatening environment. So it makes a big difference to have it in a church. According to a Case Western Reserve research study that looked at fugitive safe surrender in 20 U.S. cities, more than 35,000 people have surrendered across the country. This is our 6th fugitive safe surrender that my office has been involved in. We've done it in Richland County, Columbiana County, Trumbull, Mahoning, and Summit County. And we've had success I think in all of those locations. The Fugitive Safe Surrender program reduces the number of people on the streets with active warrants and saves time and resources for law enforcement and justice system professionals. I told you about the first time that we started this. And about what U.S. Marshal did. And his idea was that, the Marshal Service serves a lot of warrants. And so they know all about this. And their feeling was that that's a dangerous time for a police officer. You have someone who is mentally on the run. It may not be for anything horrible, but it may be something that in that person's minds they don't want to see a police officer, and so in a moment they make a decision that changes their life and maybe changes that police officer's life and the family as well. So the idea is to avoid those kind of confrontations and to provide an opportunity for people to come in and have in one location everything taken care of. It's not amnesty. We don't guarantee them anything. Judges don't guarantee them anything. The prosecutor doesn't. But what we do tell them is you will be dealt with, and you'll be dealt with very quickly. And the BMV is here. I talked to a representative of the BMV a moment ago, and they're an integral part because many of these people have a traffic problem, and the judge, decides how that's going to be resolved, and then there's BMV there to make sure that the person can get it done very, very quickly. We've had some amazing stories. We had a man whose warrant was issued after he failed to appear in court for driving on a suspended license, who came forward to our Akron event last year. He turned himself in because he was tired, he said, of looking over his shoulder. Let me give you a quote. "I had to work to pay child support. I needed to drive to get to the job. But I decided I had to do the right thing and stop blaming everybody else. I'm responsible." Direct quote. Another man came up to that same event from Georgia to resolve issues stretching back as far as 1998. And this is a direct quote. I traveled up from the metro Atlanta area to take care of all the fines and outstanding warrants, he said. These are the kind of stories we can expect to hear here in Stark County from Fugitive Safe Surrender. Stark County, I'm told, has 708 active felony warrants. Sheriff, that number may be a little different, but that's the last number I have at least. And out of the Alliance, Canton, and Massillon municipal courts, there are over 24,000 active misdemeanor warrants. This upcoming Stark County Fugitive Safe Surrender program will run from September 30th through October 3rd and will be open for business from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily right here at Trinity Gospel Temple. We're grateful to our law enforcement partners, local government, community service partners for participating in this event. Thank you all who are here. As I said, it's not an amnesty program. It's a responsibility program. It's an opportunity program. By turning themselves in, individuals with outstanding nonviolent warrants will have the chance to move their lives forward instead of going backwards. At this point, I'd like to introduce Brother Dave Lombardi, Senior Pastor of the Trinity Gospel Temple, who will sign with me the Memorandum of Participation.
Since we're in the church and we don't have to be politically correct, let's have a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, we look to you for your favor, for your guidance. And Lord, we're so appreciative that we could join together with so many notable people that make our community safe. And we know that we live in a very dangerous environment where all of us who serve publicly put ourselves at risk. So protect and bless each of us as we serve our community and our respective calling. We ask your blessing on our community, on each participant in this important matter. In Christ's name, amen. We really welcome you to Trinity Gospel Temple. Those of you that have been in the city for any time know that this used to be a shopper's fair. And appropriately so, when I set up my offices, I set them up where the cashiers had their offices. But it took a lot of work to change it around, but this is like a Target or something like that. And now we're in business for the Lord. So I'd like to welcome all of you here, and it's certainly been a pleasure working with Bob Davis and also with Lizzie Nusek, his assistant. And when my personal assistant, Anthony Lombardi, and I were asked if we would host a fugitive surrender program in our church facility, we immediately said yes. While my primary calling for the past 50 years has been to present the Word of God to our community, because it brings into focus our need for balance between spirit and body, we also have attempted to be a part of every other aspect of our community, whether it is helping to feed and clothe the needy, offer free haircuts, or whatever we could offer, and in our dream center that we call the Lord's Gym, youth activities, and also working in cooperation with our local government and judicial system. And this is why we are eager to see this program, Fugitive Safe Surrender, to be successful. All of you present here today are prestigious, you're elected and appointed persons who perform a very important task in keeping our community functioning orderly and safely. Thank you for serving. So with no further ado, I present it back to our Attorney General of the state of Ohio, the Honorable Mike Devine.
Pastor, thank you so much for doing this. Sheriff? Get out of your way here, Sheriff.
Thank you, General. Well, good afternoon, everyone. When I was thinking about what comments I would make today, I want to start out first by thanking the General and his staff for the hard work that they've done to help us here in Stark County to assemble this group today and really to put this program together. And I know when we first started talking just a few months ago, we really anticipated doing this next year. And so through your hard work and the cooperation of the folks here, we're able to really move this up and be a little more aggressive in our approach to the Safe Surrender program. What is Fugitive Safe Surrender? To me, Fugitive Safe Surrender was the brainchild of my friend and colleague, as the General had said, Marshal Peter Elliott. In 2005, he recognized the need to have and allow those who were on the run from the law to avoid potential violent confrontations with law enforcement by surrendering themselves while in the presence of clergy. With this support of church organizations and faith-based groups, police, judges, and community leaders, the idea quickly became successful. It's important today to thank Marshal Elliott for not only his vision, but his passion to find new ways to get violent and nonviolent fugitives off the streets and into some type of reentry program. As we all know too well, law enforcement has a serious responsibility to apprehend these fugitives and make our communities safe. These duties are oftentimes the most dangerous of our officers to perform. Not to mention the risk to our communities in which many of these fugitives hide and continue their criminal behavior with little or no opportunity for reentry into society for fear of apprehension. The safe surrender is also about accountability. Accountability of the wanted fugitive to develop a reentry plan and to be part of our community and to pay their debt to society so they no longer live in fear of law enforcement or live hiding in the shadows, sometimes working under the table with diminished pay and little or no benefits for their families. It's also accountability to the citizens of the community in which the criminal justice system is responsible to protect and keep the citizens safe. The responsibility lies with law enforcement, courts, prosecutors, and community leaders who work together, such as in this project, for the Safe Surrender program to ensure a safer Stark County. I'd like to give a special thanks to Attorney General Mike DeWine and his staff for all their efforts to assisting us here in Stark County with the Fugitive Safe Surrender program, and for the community leaders here today and elected officials here today who have committed to having this effort be a successful effort and have already contributed to a safer Stark County. At this time, I'd like to go through the roll call of signers. I'd like to call, first of all, our Stark County Prosecutor, the Honorable John Ferrero.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to give a Stark County welcome to Attorney General Mike DeWine, and also a thank you for continuing this program that was originally started by the U.S. Marshal's Office. I'd also like to thank Bob Davis and Lizzie Goodwin-Nusick from the AG's office for getting us to this point. We sort of didn't know how the program was working and what goes on, and they've led us to this point, and have also get us to the Safe Surrender, which will be on September 30th to October 3rd. We thank them for their assistance. Also, Brother Dave Lombardi, thank you for allowing Trinity Gospel to be used as a Safe Surrender facility. I think that's, as been stated, the fugitives want to come to a safe place if they want to turn themselves in, and this is a perfect venue for that. Commend also everyone here today for showing your support to this valuable program. Based on this program's success in other counties, we hope the fugitives here in Stark County realize that they have a golden opportunity to clear their warrants up. By clearing their warrants up, this makes our communities here in Stark County safer. It also protects our law enforcement officers whose life is in potential danger every time they stop or talk to a person with an outstanding warrant. I do not look at this program as an amnesty program. is a program about responsibility. The fugitives have already shown a lack of responsibility because the warrants were issued. Now is the time for them to redeem themselves and hopefully be responsible for their actions. And with the publicity and the word of mouth and the churches that will be talking about this in the community to try to get them to turn themselves in, I look forward to be very successful. Again, I would like, thank everyone for being here today and showing your dedication and support for the program. At this time, Sheriff.
Okay. Now I'd thank you, Prosecutor Ferraro. Ask the Honorable Taryn Heath, Presiding Judge of Stark County Common Pleas Court.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Stark County Court of Common Pleas is pleased to join with other Stark County partners in participation in fugitive safe surrender. I know this is a bit redundant, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank Attorney General DeWine and Brother Dave Lombardi, Bob and Lizzie for all their help and support for this event. We are pleased that both the General Division and the Family Court Division will be participating in this event. You know, community partnerships are among the most powerful forces at work in America to address critical societal changes such as public safety, jail overcrowding, and community reentry. Fugitive Safe Surrender encourages fugitives through this coordinated media and community outreach efforts to voluntarily surrender to authorities at a faith-based and neutral setting such as Trinity Gospel Temple. And I've been here on a Sunday morning when this place rocks. And I hope we have as many fugitives here as Brother Dave brings in on a Sunday morning, and I think that would be a huge success for Stark County. This is where law and justice allow these participants to come forward and proceed through final adjudication when possible the very same day. As has been mentioned, this event does not offer amnesty in exchange for surrender. Rather, this event offers individuals an opportunity to become accountable and get their lives back on track, while at the same time making our community safer for the brave men and women who protect this community every day. The court, in our role in this event, allows fugitives that surrender voluntarily and peacefully to be afforded which has been coined favorable consideration for doing so. That's not to insinuate that we've prejudged a case, because as Judge Kabilas would agree with me, that would be against the judicial canons of ethics. But what we are committing to is the program's general premise that fugitives with no history of violence, who are wanted for a nonviolent offense, and who do not have extensive criminal records will, consistent with the law and the court's discretion, be processed and released the very same day that they surrender. The judges at the Court of Common Pleas commit our participation on site at this site for all 4 days of the surrender period. We stand with our community prepared to make this a successful fugitive safe surrender.
Thank you, Judge Heath. I'd like to now call the Honorable Richard J. Kabilas, Canton Municipal Court.
Good afternoon. The Canton Municipal Court has over 3,000 active warrants for nonviolent offenders. The Safe Surrender Program is certainly our effort to reduce that number and to look with favorable consideration for those who intend to participate in the program. Those individuals that will be coming to see us live in a subculture that's away from the mainstream of our community. They're part of that culture because of the fear of apprehension. That fear leads to their inability at times to gain employment. It also may hinder their ability to participate in certain social services, because if they show up at a governmental agency, that fear of apprehension becomes real. They'll notify the court, bring them to the court, and you can see where their participation may be hindered because of that. The Safe Surrender Program then is a unique opportunity for those individuals to come to a neutral site, especially here in the church setting, as their first step to re-enter the community and become more valuable participants. Their fear of apprehension and their outstanding obligations to the court impacts not only themselves, it impacts their family, and it impacts law enforcement, as you have heard earlier. The Safe Surrender Program is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. Individuals must be responsible for their actions and the consequences of those actions. However, as indicated, they will be afforded favorable considerations with respect to their outstanding obligations. Some of those obligations may be, community service, probation, certain counseling requirements that the court has imposed upon them, and the payments of fines and costs. Therefore, we're hopeful this will provide a fresh start to these individuals so they will re-enter the community. It will help the court clear up some of its docket, and we will make overall a safer community for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. I'd now like to call the Honorable William J. Healy, Canton City Mayor.
Thank you, Sheriff. I would like to echo many of the comments that were made, but before I do, I want to thank personally Attorney General Mike DeWine for both being here in Canton and bringing your program here. Thank you. Every time that you've come to Canton that I've been mayor, we've always had something very successful to share and work together, and our collaboration is great. So thank you for that. I appreciate what you're doing for our city and for the state of Ohio. And Brother Dave, we've collaborated many times on many programs, from food vouchers and programs to help the needy. I couldn't think of a more appropriate place to host this. And I will share with you, and for Attorney General, your team, they were wonderful when they came to my office, and I believe they were led to my office by my police chief, who heard about this program and sent them to see me. And when I met with them, I immediately said, this is something that we need in Canton and Stark County, and I was very excited about it. We've talked many times about how many outstanding warrants we have, and what do we do about that, whether you're in the county office or city office of Masson or Canton or anywhere. You have these outstanding warrants, and it's a very, very big challenge for us to deal with on how you resolve these things. How do you bring these people in, get them cleared up, collect those fines, put some people in jail that need to go there, whatever the issues are. And you only have so much manpower and resources. And so this is something that we've looked at for quite some time. My comments and echoing what was earlier said about somebody that has an outstanding warrant, in many cases, and you heard that there's thousands of them here in Canton and tens of thousands in Canton and Stark County, in many cases these are good people. These are people who otherwise are law-abiding citizens that had an issue. And in many cases, it's because they didn't have the money to pay the fine or the ticket that they had, and that turns into an outstanding warrant. And from there, they don't get their driver's license renewed because they don't want to go into that government agency. And they don't go vote because they're afraid that somebody's going to identify them. And so it snowballs, and that's how they become living and working and operating, kind of under the radar. And there are so many people in our community that are valuable assets to help in our community and to make our community grow and be stronger, and we need them to be part of our community. And we want them to be part of our community, but they are afraid. And so this is an opportunity for those folks to come in, to let us know that they have an issue, they have an outstanding warrant, they have something going on that need help, and they're going to get that help here. and they'll have to deal with it. They'll have to pay the piper, but at the same time, they're going to have a very favorable process to help them know that they're not going to be taken, locked up, thrown in jail because they were afraid to come in 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. And we're going to be able to settle many of these things and solve a lot of problems, and it's going to make the list of outstanding warrants drop significantly, but it's going to bring more and more people from our community and make them more active members and bring them back to our services in our city and our county. So I couldn't be more happy about this, and when they asked me about, where we can host this, I gave them one place. I said, it's right here at Trinity Gospel, and I knew that, and I knew, Brother Dave, that you wouldn't turn them down because we have partnered so many times, and I know what you and your team and your followers do here. This church has one of the most progressive and the largest volunteer group you'll see in any community church that we have in our region, where they put more people on the streets doing more good for our community. And I know if I need something done, that I can call Brother Dave, and he's going to be there with us and for us. So thank you again, and I want to thank all the jurisdictions that are here and everybody that's involved with this, because it is a collaborative effort, it's a team effort, and we're going to make Canton and Stark County much, much better because of this. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. Now I'd like to ask my friend and colleague, Bruce Lawver, Chief of Police for the City of Canton.
Brother Dave, Attorney General, everyone, thank you. I just, like many of you probably, I haven't had lunch, so I'll keep it very brief. But I just want to say why this is significant to the City of Canton and the Canton Police Department. Canton Police Department, we are in charge of policing an urban population. We are dedicated to do it in a community-oriented and proactive approach. What Fugitive Safe Surrender is, it is an honest and community-based approach through the Attorney General's office, in here through the City of Canton, Stark County, and everybody involved, toward an affected population. And what this will do is provide a better outcome in how we choose to interact and provide police services. It also, to me, of course, officer safety, and of course, just the happenings over this last week, the danger to officers out there right now have never been more real. And what this initiative does, it does reduce the risk to law enforcement in serving these types of warrants, and then it also reduces the risk within the community itself. It is a true effort to bridge the communication and positive action to those misunderstandings that does sometime end in tragedy. But it is my hope that we are able to reach out to this affected population and take advantage of this opportunity. Thank you.
That concludes our official speakers, but we have a number of folks with us today that we'd like to recognize and ask, as we call your name, if you'd join Mr. Davis up here and please sign the official memorandum. The Honorable Kristen Farmer, Administrative Judge, Stark County Court of Common Pleas, General Division. The Honorable Michael L. Howard, Administrative Judge, Stark County Court of Common Pleas, Domestic Relations Division. Signing for Judge Howard is Chief Magistrate David Nist. The Honorable Louis P. Giavasis, Clerk of Courts, Stark County Court of Common Pleas. Tammy R. Johnson, Public Defender, Stark County Public Defender's Office. The Honorable Joe Martuccio, Law Director, City of Canton. Signing for Mr. Martuccio is Ty Horowitz, Canton City Prosecutor. The Honorable Phil Giavasis, Clerk of Court, Canton Municipal Courts. The Honorable Kathy Catazero Perry, Mayor, City of Massillon. The Honorable Pericles Sturgis, Law Director, City of Massillon. Signing for Mr. Sturgis is Robert Sypersky, Massillon Assistant Prosecutor and Assistant Law Director. The Honorable Roland C. Centrone, Administrative Judge, Massillon Municipal Court. The Honorable Johnny A. Meyer, Clerk of Courts, Massillon Municipal Court. They told me how to pronounce his name, and I just wanted to get it right. The Honorable Alan Andriani, Mayor, City of Alliance. The Honorable Jennifer Arnold, Law Director, City of Alliance. The Honorable Andrew L. Zumbar, Judge, Alliance Municipal Court. Signing for Judge Zumbar is Jeff Carper, Alliance Municipal Court Chief of Security. The Honorable Mary Ann Carper, Clerk of Court, Alliance Municipal Courts. Todd Ishii, Regional Director, Ohio Adult Parole Authority. Signing for Mr. Ishii is Michael Beebe, Regional Administrator, Ohio Adult Parole Authority. I'd ask the Honorable Roland C. Centrone to come forward again to sign on behalf of the Stark County Bar Association. You did it twice? Well, thank you very much. Keith Hohadel, President and CEO of Quest Recovery Service. I don't know if Keith made it. Signing for Keith today is Ivan Rosa, Chief Operating Officer. Thank you again to all the partners and community members here today. I know the Attorney General and myself are very grateful for your participation and support in the Fugitive Safe Surrender, as well as your continued advocacy for the programs to your neighbors and the people we serve here in Stark County. General?
Thanks, Sheriff. You know, I was watching everyone come up, and I thought we got a lot of firepower in this room. Just kind of final comment for our friends in the media. These programs take a lot of work, and it takes real commitment. And we're only able to take this program to counties, to communities where people are willing to roll up their sleeves and say, yeah, we want to do it. We agree to it, and then we're going to go do the work. So each group that's represented here, whether it's the courts, probation, parole, all law enforcement, prosecutor's office, BMV, on and on and on. It takes a lot of work, but these programs are worth it. But they could not happen without all the people here in the room and all the people who are standing behind them and their commitment to go out and do the work. What this really is about is helping police officers so that there are people who have outstanding warrants who no longer have outstanding warrants and can feel like I'm back in the system. I don't have to hide. I don't have to duck. I don't have to weave. That's very helpful for police officers who have to approach cars and outstanding warrants and all kinds of, you never know what's going to happen. It's also very, very helpful for the people who get this finally off their back. I told several stories. I'll conclude with one. I think it was in Mansfield we were doing the program, and a woman came in who was obviously very, very far along in her pregnancy, and I talked to her, and she said, I just flew in from Kansas. I said, really? She said, yeah. She said, this has been weighing on my mind for a long, long time. My sister called me the other day and told me about this program, and my sister told me, you need to come out, and I decided to come out. So it's that kind of sense of relief for people to let them be part of society again, and it is very helpful for them and certainly very helpful for all of us. So thank you all very much. Appreciate it.